there weren't so many options with the finish.
Very nice. How are you both? Rosh and Al, is that what we said?
That's what we're saying, yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Very well, thank you.
We're all pretty busy with fringy things, I guess.
Fringy things, exactly.
In our own little way, so it's a great time.
What are you doing in the Fringe apart from this show?
I'm doing First Nation Voices, so we've done 3 shows. We're actually up in the Desert Fringe on the weekend, so that's with Vonda Last. I think she's on PBA later on today.
Yeah, she's
Glenn
great.
Scewthorpe and Russell Smith, who's a bit of a legend in the Australian music industry, Paul Kelly and Archie Roach and all those people. So a unique show, it's good. So I'm doing that, and 3 shows with Sufi Music Highway with Farhan Shah, one regional one at Auburn, and Trinity Sessions, and the other one, Nexus.
Yeah. Busy.
So it's busy for me, yeah.
Good.
And helping Rosh with a little bit of audio editing on her show, but this is really all about.
Oh no, please talk
This is
about it.
your show, Rosh.
I love hearing about the incredible creative music and diversity that you're involved in the music industry. It's incredible, it really is.
It's
Please
fun.
talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's about it. That's about it for me, yeah.
Thank you. So this show, tell us about this show. So if you just want to hold that poster up here so we can see it on the broadcast.
All right, excellent. This is the poster for Las Cuatro. So it translates to the 4. It's kind of loosely based. Oh. Thanks, Al.
Thanks.
That's it, Las Cuatro. And it's sort of loosely based on the 4 seasons and, you know, events that circle in your life. And I think it's a story that a lot of people can relate to. And aside from that, it's a cast of really incredible dancers.
Yes. So let's go through the dancers' names. Who are they?
We have, I'll be dancing and directing, Lisa Virtue, Sugika Nishiue, Natalie Quichi, Adriana Morales, and Anita Zazzaro.
And they've been with you for a while?
A long time, most of them about 20 years, I would say. So we've spent a long time, you know, building the group. Adriana joined more recently, probably about 10 years ago. But yeah, so it's a group of people. We've known each other for a very long time. We're very close, and we've drilled and worked together a lot. So this is just another great opportunity to push ourselves. Alan was mentioning that he had done some editing for the soundtrack to the show, and this is like a really new experience for me, because flamenco is generally done live. So we usually have the live guitar, the live singing, the palmas, the clapping. Yes. This show is to a pre-recorded soundtrack of music that I've selected that I feel, you know, works well with the show and the meaning of the words. We also have some beautiful original compositions from Paco Lara, who lives in New South Wales now, but he's originally from Jerez in Spain. And Byron Mark, who's an independent music artist in Sydney, he's just incredible.
He's just amazing.
He is an amazing. He's like the kind of guy. He's a one-man band, really, like cajon, percussion, piano. What else does he do? God,
everything.
Everything. He's a really incredible artist, and he's just been great to work with. And having Al on board, it's just been an incredible group of people to work with on putting this soundtrack together. It's very different to create music in this way for flamenco dancing. They're very exciting.
How did you meet the gentleman in New South Wales?
I met him through doing flamenco shows in Sydney. So because he's also a percussionist, he was hired as a cajon player. And then
Paco.
Sorry. Did you mean the
you said the gentleman that can do it all? I forgot.
Oh, sorry.
Byron. Yeah.
I'm
Byron
behind.
Mark.
Sorry.
No, that's right. Byron Mark. Yeah, through flamenco, through doing different flamenco shows in Sydney. So there's different groups, Marina Tamayo and Zoe Velez and Chachi Peñalver. These are dancers and producers in Sydney who contract me up to do performances for their shows, and that's how I met Byron.
So you performed quite a bit in New South Wales over the years?
Actually, yeah, a lot. I mean, I would usually go in non-corona times. I would usually go out maybe 4 to 6 times a year. So once every couple of months to do performances with the Sydney Flamenco Studio, and they're the people I work with the most. But I've worked with Flamenquissimo as well, and so I love traveling, and you get to really extend yourself when you meet flamencos outside of outside of Adelaide. There's just a different perspective, or like a different culture, or different influences. It's like traveling, you know, anytime you travel outside of your norm, you're always challenged, and you get to experience different perspectives, you know.
So do you notice that the dancers in, let's say, Victoria, New South Wales, Adelaide, they have a different culture? Like they I don't know, put shows together differently. They're just little things, slight differences, nuances that you notice.
Sometimes I do feel that. I mean, I don't know if it's because they're in Sydney and because we're in Adelaide. It could just be that I get to work with different people, wherever they are. But yeah, I do sometimes feel that. I definitely feel this in Madrid and Sevilla, for sure. There's like a very different culture. There's sort of a different a way of valuing flamenco. I'm not quite sure how to explain it. In Madrid, it's sort of being a bustling city. It's go, go, go. It's very, very quick. I don't know how else to say it, but you know, when you're in a busy city, there's just that different culture with the people.
The feel,
and so it kind of translates into the art form as well. Whereas when you go to Sevilla, there's just a different, or the south, Andalusia, there's just a slightly more laid back approach to dancing, even to the music. It's kind of a less is more kind of feel. I get that sense anyway. So it's more pronounced in Spain, I think, the differences. But I do love just getting to meet lots of different flamencos, even in Australia. Yeah. Because they all come with their own bodies of experience that then informs and helps you to grow as an artist as well. So
in the south, are they sort of more sort of laid back in their life, and then that comes through the arts?
I think so.
Is it that?
I think so. This is just my evaluation from the time I've spent there. But yeah, I would say because it's generally the pueblos, the cities are smaller as well. You know, I guess we feel it here when we're in a smaller community. There's just a bit more closeness. Perhaps it's a little less competitive, a little bit more cooperative, a little bit more relaxed.
I've heard that.
Yeah. So I think that it's a similar sort of thing that happens in Spain.
I've heard that with people from Melbourne and Sydney. They've said they like coming here because the people in Adelaide are a bit more sort of like more of a family. Over there, it's a bit more competitive.
Yep. Yeah.
They're friends, but it's still got that cutting edge. Just okay, what you know.
I guess a larger population. I mean, I'm not sure. I would assume a larger population would maybe sort of create that kind of.
That's true.
That kind of
pressure. Sort of closeness, maybe they're not as close as what we are here. Let's say. Yeah. Because there are less people. Yeah. Probably makes sense.
Yeah. I think so.
So you've got 6 shows.
6 shows, yes, at Gluttony, which is on sort of East Terrace, right opposite the garden. The main sort of the garden area, because the Garden of Unearthly Delights, right? Is that it?
Yes. So you're on the other side.
We're just on the other side.
Opposite the Stag.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Opposite the Stag Hotel. And so, we're 6 nights, and it's the last week of the Fringe, so we'll be in week 4 of the Fringe, the 16th to the 21st of March, from 6:30 till 7:30. And we're on at I'm quite excited about this. We're on in an outdoor theatre. So you have the opportunity, if you want, there's 2 different types of tickets. You can buy a seat, which is just like any other place. But they're also offering you picnic blankets. So if you have a group of 3 or 4... They're providing, So because of sort of the COVID-19 thing, we can't BYO. I think that's the deal. They actually provide you with a picnic blanket area for 4 people. So it's sort of, the price is also a little bit cheaper for the picnic blankets, which means if you only have 3, it's still, it pretty much works out the same as getting seats. You can just get a picnic blanket for 3 or 4 people.
So, you have to pay for the blanket?
Yes, so that's your ticket basically. Instead of paying for a seat, you pay for a blanket.
Yes. Yeah. I got it. So you don't have to pay, it's part of the thing.
Well, it's like buying a seat.
Yeah, it's buying a seat. It's the seat, so you don't have to pay extra for
That's right. No, you don't. In fact, it's actually a little bit cheaper. So we tried to make it sort of more attractive for the people to give that experience. Because you can bring your own food if you want, bring some wine, you can't, sorry, let me take that back. You can't bring alcohol into Gluttony, but they're selling wine there. They're a licensed venue, so they'll be, I've got to be very clear about that. You can
bring other drinks.
You can bring other drinks, and you have to buy the wine there. But you can bring food, so you can bring your cheeses and your dips and a little platter, and sit there and enjoy hopefully in the sunshine.
And that's a nice time, isn't it? 6:30 to 7:30.
I think so. It's sort of sun's kind of setting. It's getting a little orange in the sky, and you get to enjoy a flamenco show.
So if it's a hot day, it's still sort of pleasant, because we have had that sort of weather. Warm lately, warm and cool. Really, I mean, we don't really know what we're going to get.
I have no idea.
Very confusing.
I just know where I will be March 16th. at 6:30.
So you're undercover in case it did rain.
There is a little bit of a tarp over the. It's quite open to the elements as well, so we'll be right there with the audience no matter what the weather is.
Yeah, so if it's raining, you're still going to do it, of course.
We'll be there.
Yes, you will. Have you got another something for us?
Yeah, what shall we do?
What do you want to do?
You had an idea. Walk it out.
We'll do that.
Or maybe I'll warm up my voice with something else. What did we say we were going to do?
Buleria, maybe? Some buleria? Or...
Oh, a little bit of buleria. Okay, we can do that. Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to do something called buleria, which is often done in a fiesta kind of situation. So often if you're in a bar or with friends, this is the kind of song that they would, or palo that they would play, and then different people know how to sing different verses, different poems, and so everybody will join in. One person might sing, we call them a letra. One person might sing a letra, and then somebody else will sing a letra, and so they take it in turns, and often they can sing for hours on end. And this will just keep going on and on and on. Yeah, it's a party.
Literally hours with no stop.
Well, if you have several guitarists sometimes,
and
or they'll take a break, have a chat, and then somebody else will pick up a guitar and start playing.
But they don't always need a guitar, that's the thing, you see, like because they can just use the percussion, and that's a thing within flamenco itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, so bulería por fiesta. Vamos allá. vio pajarero, entra un loro, entra un loro, con la saladora y el pico de oro, con la saladora y el pico de oro. Ay, mare, che mare, yo creí que yo mía, agüita no cae, creí que yo mía, agüita no cae.
Cheers. Cheers. Quick ad break. Thank you.
That was a fun little improv.
Yeah.
I was like,
So I had to get my head around those
the
letters, yeah.
there was one. Oh, we're off, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we're
that's
on
all
here
on
though,
here.
but we're off on radio.
Yeah. Cueto y no cojo cama.
I didn't
Where
even
does it
know.
go? Cueto y no cojo cama. Me acuesto con el sentido.
I wasn't sure.
Oh, but they all fit. That's what I like. Different guitarists will give it a slightly different flavour. It doesn't always go where I think it's going to go, like what I'm used to hearing.
Yeah.
When you sing with a different guitarist, it's like, oh, I didn't think you could do that. Do you know what I mean? Even working with you and Aloe.
Yeah, different places.
You
No,
take it to different places. Like, okay, yeah, this works too. That's the joy of the improv. The different flavors. I think that even the same. It's never the same song, is it? If you have a different singer.
The same song is never the same.
The same song is never the same song. The joy of improv.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any hellos here?
Hellos. Oh, I'm not sure. Well, hello. I want to say hello to my dance students because they're so wonderful. So a little shout out to all the students of Alma Flamenca, all the drumming students, all the singing students, and all the dance students and the company. You guys are amazing.
So just the name of your school again? for people?
Alma Flamenca Dance School.
And they can do classes as well?
Yeah. So we have classes for children, we have classes for adults. We have a teacher called Anita Zatsaros from the company, and she teaches the kids, and I teach all the adult classes. And we have classes through from beginners, so total beginners, even if you've never danced before, you can still learn at any age.
When does it start, the beginners?
We have classes at the moment on Saturdays.
Oh, it started?
Yeah, and you can
Or is
join
it
any
ongoing?
time. It's ongoing
Oh.
because it's all fundamental training.
Oh.
So you can sort of enter
Really?
at any time. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's not this week, then it's next week, right? And if it's not next week, then you join the next week.
Yeah.
So either way, there's so many different disciplines to train. Wherever you enter, we can start in a place where you can sort of start at level 0 and sort of build your skills slowly.
I'm tempted.
Yeah.
Tempted, thinking about it. Saturday, what time?
Saturday, 11 o'clock. We're actually at the Hyper Dance studio at the moment in Guja Street.
Yeah.
So we're right in the heart of the city at the moment. And 11 o'clock till 12 o'clock. We have new beginners classes.
Exciting.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean-
so we'll jump on after this. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, some people like to start at the beginning of term, and
Yeah.
that's totally, I put the choice in the hands of the dancer.
Oh.
But for me, I love teaching multi-level classes, and I'm quite all right to have different levels in one class and to stretch different dancers in different ways, and challenge them. So it's
So
very,
you do that, you mix
yeah,
it then.
yeah, I do. I'm actually a great believer in that. I actually have a thing called a course called the Adelaide Flamenco Bootcamp that I started 11 years ago. And I think we had our 10th anniversary. It was this year. And it's all about putting everybody from beginners to advanced all in the same room. So it can be challenging, but the incredible amount of skills that you gain from that kind of training it's an experience that you don't often get, because most classes, as you well know, they're separated. All the beginners, and there's a good reason for that. If you're a beginner, like my beginners classes are only for beginners.
Yes.
Because you want to create an environment where we can sort of grow together slowly at a comfortable pace. Rather than having a lot of different levels in the room. But with my beginners classes, I'm happy to have like a small spread of skills in terms of ability, and then they'll move up into intermediate level.
And it's good for the beginners to observe the more advanced dancers too.
It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. The incredible amount of improvement that I see through the boot camp.
What do you call it?
The boot camp, the
Yeah,
Adelaide
boot camp.
Flamenco boot camp.
How does that work?
So
Is
it's
it like,
I
many?
it's how I start the year, and usually it's 25 to 30 people in the class, so it's quite a big class and there's a great energy as well. And I like to kick off my year. I've been doing this. I think I started it in 2009, and then it was just me practicing on my own over the summertime because I didn't want to stop my training. And then a few of my students said, "Oh, Roshi, can we join you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, come along." And so we all started training together. And because I work quite hard when I'm training, they were like, "Oh man, this is like a boot camp." You know, it sort of started that way. And then 2011, we sort of officially called it the Adelaide Flamenco
It's an
Bootcamp.
institution now, isn't
It's
it?
a bit of an institution now, yeah.
So
So
is it
everyone
every
comes from
week
everywhere,
then?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how does the term work? Is it like weekly?
It's just 2
ongoing?
weeks in your summertime. So it's after all your Christmas pudding and after your New Year's Eve festivities and whatever bebidas, whatever drinks you've had. You know, and you might be feeling a little heavier than usual. So that's the time when we go, right, start of the year, we're kicking in with the
Good
boot camp.
exercise,
It's
dancing,
fantastic.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good. It's great
Better
for
than going to the gym.
for
Works
core
everything.
muscle development, coordination. It's also a great channel for self-expression, and it can be quite like art, right? It can be quite cathartic as well. It's wonderful. Yeah. So my classes, I do separate levels, like most dance classes are separated. But the Adelaide Flamenco Bootcamp is something very special where we all, as a school, come together and train.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
And that boot camp, I went to. They took it to London. I had somebody from London interested in it, and so I went there in 2018 and 2019 to teach the London Flamenco Bootcamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I did we did it in Queensland as well. So it's getting a little bit of the course itself is getting noticed, which is lovely. I do really love delivering that course.
Yeah. Where did you do it in the other places?
In London,
Was
it was
still your creation, or?
No, there was a flamenco dancer in London brought me to do the course there.
Yeah, that's right. So it's still your thing.
Yeah, it was still my
it's
course.
Still your thing.
Yeah, well, what happened actually is I met her
Right.
in Spain, and she saw me dancing, and I think she liked my style. She was very interested in learning with me. She was from London, but then she was transferred to Adelaide, of all places in the world, and she contacted me and said, "Can I do your classes?" So this lady from London, who I met in Spain, came to my classes in Adelaide. And then she happened to be here over the summer, where I said, "Well, look, I've got the Adelaide Flamenco Bootcamp. Do it. You know, come along, join in." And she did it, and she was like, "There's nothing like this in London." She said, "I've never done a course like this. I've never done this kind of technical development course that's so like holistic and with all the levels and all this, because I have a certain way of delivering it, you know." And she goes, "I want to bring you to London." And I was like, "Okay, sure."
So how's your way, sort of, you said your way, so what's that?
I think each teacher, I mean, you might know this better because you've actually played guitar for a lot of different teachers. So you might be able to speak about this better than I can. I think each teacher of any skill, of any discipline, has their own ethos, has their own previous skills that they bring to the table in terms of whatever training they've had in the past. You know, and it's with that they're able to connect with the students and help to facilitate the students' understanding. So, so in the boot camp, I get to use a lot of my musical training, especially.
I was going to say, I think what sets Rosh apart is the musicality. And there's more than that, but it's that aspect that really drew me in as a guitarist too. No, it's that musical aspect that you have, and sometimes when you're learning any kind of technique, I imagine I'm not a dancer, but any kind of technical training, you're so focused on the technique that the musicality of it can actually just be forgotten or lost. Whereas it's always there with Rosh, it's always about the music. So there's more to it than that. The holistic thing, as you mentioned, I think is a broader thing that you have as well that's different. Unique.
Yeah, different teachers, I think, of any discipline are going to bring different skills to the table. You know, so everyone's got something to offer, and that's a beautiful thing that we can all kind of bring our history, bring our education, bring our knowledge to the table. You know,
It was like you were saying before, you can sort of sing a song a certain way, but it's always going to be different. It's like every person. You can all be taught, you can have 20 students teach them the same dance, and it will be different.
Yeah.
And vastly different, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it goes
It's the energy
across
of the
all arts
person,
too.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It is very much the energy of the person as well, I think.
And everything, how you stand, how you look, how your eyes are. dancing is everything. It's not just moves.
It's
spiritual.
Absolutely.
It's a spirit or something.
And I think when you're training with anything, I'm not really referring to dance. I'm not sure it's applicable, but even with music, you're so in this world of comparatives. Where well, I don't sound like that person, and then that the idea of yourself can actually kind of get lost in that, and whereas I think you bring something out in each person where you sort of bring their individuality out. I mean, Rosh's group for the Fringe is just they're all amazing. They're all unique too. They're not like Rosh. They're different.
That's true. That's very true.
And that's kind of the beauty of it. I think is also just being able to channel the individual and not get so lost into technique and comparatives to other people. Even though it's always good to look at other people.
Yeah.
But I think to
absolutely.
bring what is, as you said too, the spiritual nature of that, or the essence of dance, I think that's just important. I think that's something that Rosh sort of excels at here with her school.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
And it's very, it just embraces different, everything. It's a bit like burlesque and flamenco. I feel like it's not as threatening to women as other dance forms. Like, girls that do hip hop, let's say, they have to wear that outfit, or they have to look like that, or have their hair in those braids. I've heard people sort of say that it's more sort of inclusive. It's not so judgmental. With burlesque and flamenco, I've noticed a trend from what people say.
Absolutely. Like, I think from my experience ballet is the one that I know ballet is an incredible art form, and the skill involved is just out of this world, but my experience of it was, if you're flat-chested,
point exactly.
if you're, if you've got a small rib cage, if you've got smaller hips, if you have that long neck, which I don't have, and excuse me, but at the time perhaps lighter skin, like a lot of darker skin ballet dancers had to wear the pink tights, which don't really match the skin color and things like that. It was quite. I think it's becoming more inclusive, but it was quite exclusive, and what I love about flamenco, and I always say this, and I'm like a broken record when I talk about this, but it's so true. What I love about flamenco is that it is really, it respects all life. All people who have lived life on this earth, it respects, so you can be a child, you can be, 70 years old, you can be 50,
Right.
you can be fat, you can be skinny, you can be short, you can have a bung leg, to a certain degree. You see we always talk about the abuelos, the grandparents. The grandparents come out and bust moves, and they are so deeply loved and respected in flamenco. It's not like, oh, really, you're 45, so your career is kind of over, A lot of famous, well-known flamenco dancers really start their careers at 35, 40, sometimes 45. They can. Because there isn't that same... There's a beautiful flamenco song playing right now. There's a... What do I mean? There's no barrier to with age or with weight or with your look or anything like that, which I really loved. I felt with ballet when I did train in ballet. After puberty, for me, it was like, no go. I was doing quite well, and then I just didn't have the flexibility either. The technique was there, but I didn't have the flexibility, and then after puberty, I certainly didn't have the look.
And I think that does affect girls. Because I did ballet for years, over a decade, and they were all, and I wasn't, I just didn't look like them. They were all like super skinny, exactly flat-chested, and I was more sort of curvy, and I was always self-conscious as a youngster. We can't sort of rationalise that correctly in our head, obviously as an adult woman I would be able to, but as a youngster I felt really insecure, and there was nothing to be insecure about. I look at photos, I think, it's just a normal person. Because I wasn't a stick, and that affected me, and I remember eating differently, just on my own, no one telling me. It was just what I absorbed as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. So that's why I like these sort of things like flamenco and burlesque and things like that. That we don't have to be in a specific thing, like we said.
It's a very body positive art form.
Body positive.
I'll say that.
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. So I had a little flamenco on my group, not on my official page, where on our Alma Flamenco group on Facebook. I did a sort of flamenco body positive month where I was just putting out different videos. Do you remember I spoke to you about La Farona?
I googled her.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
It's not just her. I mean, there are so many, women who are very thin, women who are very short, women who have shorter arms, and men who are old, men who are fatter, men who have a big pot belly, or men who are very slender, men who are have that sort of lean physique. It's really open to everyone, and it's very empowering. I wanted to say flamenco is like the most empowering art form I've ever really learned.
Yes.
You know, and I've trained in ballet, I've trained in jazz, I've trained in tap, I've done Bharatanatyam dancing, I've done Pahan dancing, I've learned piano. You know, like I've done singing lessons.
Yeah.
But for me, the place where I feel is most expressive is in flamenco.
Yeah. We should jump on air because this was good.
Yeah.
And we can continue.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, we're just going to fade down that song and keep talking because we're having a great conversation, but we were not on air, but we were here tuned in on the broadcast. Yeah, we're just quickly mentioning how sort of flamenco embraces all ages and body types. That's
Yeah,
what we're basically
absolutely.
saying.
I was just talking about how the thing about flamenco, as you were saying, is that it is very much, I wanted to say something, I wrote it on my hand so I wouldn't forget. I was just talking to one of the women from the show, from the Fringe, about something that one of my maestros, El Torombo, told me. And he would scream in the middle of our classes, "Baila con alma, no con carne."
Which is?
Dance with soul, not with carne is meat, right? So that's kind of what he's saying, like dance with your soul, not with these fleshy things, not with this arm, not with this leg, you know, not with this head.
Right.
But dance with your soul, like let it emulate beyond just the physical form.
Who was this man?
El Torombo.
In your class?
He's one of my teachers from Seville. He's a great flamenco dancer, very highly respected, and an extremely good percussionist and palmero as well, the people who do the clapping as well. So I'll never forget how he just yelled this in the middle of my class, "Baila con alma, no con carne." And also, one of the reasons why I called my school Alma Flamenca was actually that one moment.
Really?
when he said that to me, and it was so incredibly powerful. And it was like it sort of, you go into a transcendent kind of space where, yes, technique needs to be there. Yes, your body needs to be in good condition. You know, all that is important, but then you go beyond that and it goes into a soulful expression. And also tying into what Al was saying about trying to bring out the individualism in each dancer. Like that's also what the name of my school is about, Alma Flamenca. It's about each individual person that walks into my school and what they have to offer and their experience, and
Yes.
getting emotional.
Yeah, me too.
Emotional stuff.
I don't know
isn't it?
why.
Flamenco is very emotional. That's
It's
why.
we're all tearing. All of us in the room are tearing.
Well, I think it's because
We're
there's
all
so
crying
much
here.
judgment on people.
Oh my God, we're all going to have a moment. I
I'm
think.
gonna have a moment.
And that's the thing, is that, and every human is hard on themselves, and I think that's why this is very liberating, flamenco and music, because, yeah, it's like that lady, what was her name? That
La
elder-
Faraona.
yeah, that there, it means she was just being herself, embracing. It doesn't matter about her age. It doesn't matter that she wasn't a size 6. In fact, she was more stunning than a supermodel in my eyes, because she was embracing her soul and her womanhood and femininity. And I think
Yeah.
that's what, I don't know how it is for men, but I know women put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yeah. I think perhaps earlier on maybe there was more pressure on women with their physicality. But I feel like it's maybe things are sort of equalizing in the sense that I feel like there's a lot of pressure on men.
Yes, there
As
would
well,
be.
you know?
I
And
think
I love
so.
flamenco for that reason as well, because again, you know, we have, you know, there are actually there's a lot of male flamenco dancers. The male empowerment movement has been a little slower. For women, it's flamenco is a hugely empowering experience. They can wear pants, they can wear skirts, they can do the footwork. And like we couldn't, like women didn't do that in the 60s, and so, you know, in maybe the 40s, 50s. Earlier on, women sort of did all the beautiful, the arm and the hands and the expression, but they didn't do so much footwork. And then the man would come out and do all the zapateo, like the taka-taka-taka-taka-taka, you know. And women sort of broke barriers to do more footwork, and you know, to be able to do a faruka, for example, which is like very
A traditional male
a
dance.
traditionally male dance.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for men, they were more restricted. Without, I think, you know, men had to be men when they danced. Whereas now there's a whole group
exactly.
You want to speak? I can see you.
Yeah, no,
Go on, talk,
I was
talk.
just thinking of Israel Gavan, for instance. That is, it is actually a real masculine expression, but not in a traditional flamenco sense. So,
Absolutely.
So therefore, it works the opposite way, where men can do the more feminine dances as
That's
well.
right.
And there's a real movement with that.
There's a huge movement with that.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my closest maestros to my heart, Manuel Betanzo, he's truly my master. And he has been involved with a show called Viva, which is directed by Manuel Linyan. And their whole show is a group of incredible male dancers who are expressing their inner sort of traditional femininity in dresses, and look, a lot of people are not happy with it because it's so breaking the traditional form.
The men wear dresses.
Yeah, the men wear dresses.
I mean, there is still a macho culture there, isn't there?
There's a very macho culture there. And it's not, look, I love when men look like men, but I love when men express themselves the way they want to express themselves. And again, that is a part of flamenco. And I love it for that reason. I know there is the traditional perceptions, and I have to admit, I love those traditional perceptions. I love when a man comes out in the pants, the high pants with the bolero, and I love when the woman has the flower in their hair and all this kind of thing. And I love it. I absolutely love it, and I do it, and I'm a part of that. And I am a real traditionalist in terms of loving the puro, old school, traditional flamenco. But I do also love to see barriers being broken and concepts being challenged, and also, for me, talking about Alma Flamenca, my school, and my motto about bringing out the individual and who you really are.
Exactly.
I love seeing people expressing, like you're talking about Israel Galvan or Andres Marin is another one who's quite creative with their flamenco skills, I love seeing all of that. In fact, tying back to this show, Las Cuatro, this is also non-traditional, not to have live music. Las Cuatro,
That's right.
this show at the Adelaide Fringe is different.
Moving with the times.
It's
Isn't
yeah,
it?
it's moving
Because
somewhere.
of what happened last year too? Didn't that play a part of
A huge part.
Nice.
It played a huge part in creating. We didn't have a singer for the show because our singer lives in Sydney. We couldn't bring Zoe over for a Fringe show.
Exactly.
Things like that. It's like what can we do? And I had this show in my mind, honestly, for about 10 years. And I just thought now is a good time to do it, where we can, communicate through Skype and through emails and things like that, and creating a musical landscape for us to dance to that's non-traditional.
So in essence, the show is, sorry, I'm doing the interviewer role here, but it is the beginning though, isn't it? Because it will develop from this point on.
This show?
Yeah, this show, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
this is,
feel? Yeah.
I feel like, this show that we're doing at the Adelaide Fringe is Las Cuatro in its rawest form, because it's outdoors, very little lighting, so it's going to be, the lighting of the earth, planet's lighting,
That's nice.
which will be beautiful. And it's not sort of, in a theatre, I think there's a little bit more magic, isn't there? You can kind of do things with the lighting, and we've got more wings, and there's more secrets on that stage when you watch a theatre show, whereas when you watch an outdoor show that's just bare, it's a little more raw. So I feel like this is a more raw version of the show, which I'm very excited to do. But yeah, I do feel like I will develop this show in different ways and have different formats where we can present it.
So you haven't done that before with the natural lighting? It's always been on stage, the lights and this and that?
Theatre, yeah.
More
All of
theatrical.
my productions so far, Ida Volta was in a theatre. Yeah.
So this is the first one,
Yeah.
It'd be
We
nice
did
to
do
see.
we did do WOM Adelaide. We did WOM Ad in 2017, and that, as everyone knows, is an outdoor event. Although our theatre was still closed off with
We had some lighting.
But
even
was it
in-
day or night?
It was
performance?
day.
It's afternoon.
It was afternoon. It was
So
afternoon.
was,
I think,
yeah.
Yeah, but it's again a very different setup, because I think the Hillside Theatre where we are at Gluttony is an open. It's very much open air, so there's no walls. Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Whack. There's no walls or anything like that. It's just.
Whereas WOMAD did actually
Right,
have
so
a
it's
black
so
stage.
it's even more
So it's
exposed.
more open.
Mm.
I think that's nice.
Oh yeah, and it challenged me with the direction of the show as well, because
Did it?
you couldn't do those quick costume changes side stage, and
yeah.
so there's a little bit more that's revealed, I feel, in this show, and I like the fact that it's quite a bare, intimate kind of production.
So no costume changes?
Oh, there are costume changes for
You're
sure.
still going to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you just go back.
You will see how we do it.
Oh, yeah, we will see. I'm excited. Let's give
Yeah.
the dates again.
That was March 16th to 21st. So that's in the final week of the Fringe, Tuesday through till Sunday at Gluttony Hillside Theatre.
6:30 to 7:30.
That's right.
Awesome. Have you got one last little performance for us?
Waitress? Bit of that, or do you feel like something else?
Oh, what do I feel like?
Yeah, what do you feel like?
Oh, Wahira. We're gonna do a Wahira for you, and it's influenced by the
Cuban.
Spanish. Yeah, the Spanish who travelled to Cuba and sort of got some flavour in the music.
have to get onto this show. Tickets available at Ticketek?
Fringe Ticks.
Fringe Ticks.
Yeah.
Why did I say Ticketek?
That's right. I don't know.
That's
That's all right.
because
Yeah.
I'm engrossed in the music.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah, so we're Las Cuatro at Fringe Ticks.
16 to 21. And anything else you want to share before we say goodbye? Any
No,
other shows you want to plug or anything else? Or
Just
you,
thank
just
you.
your school again and classes? We've got to get
Plug.
come to your classes.
Come and learn flamenco.
Feed
It's
our soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Bianca.
Bianca.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I'll try and play that song that you said was playing before that you liked. Is it Fandango? You said you could hear
I heard it in the background and I just thought it was really beautiful.
Let's play that. I think it's this one here. Fandango. Gypsy Kings. Thank you. Bye. I don't know if it was this, but let's
like
give it
it.
a go.
Yeah, it was this.
Yeah, it was a fandango, and
It was beautiful. I just thought it was like I don't often hear the Gypsy Kings like singing like
they've
this.
got one album called Roots.
Oh, okay.
Because they're all connected to, there's a family, so they came from Spain to the southern part of France.
Okay.
So they're actually Spanish, but they live in France, and they've got that commercial success.
Yeah.
But there is actually a part of that family that they collaborated with for this Roots album.
Ah.
They do a lot of bullerias, a lot of fandangos,
Ah.
not so much of the Alegria,
Okay.
Guajira sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some tangos. So
Right.
it's kind of a different album for them.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff I've heard is very rumba.
It's very rumba,
very
yeah.
kind of Lord. You know,
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
album in particular is actually
Yeah.
a really nice one. And Tonino is a great guitarist. He's an amazing guitarist.
So have you listened to much Gypsy Kings then? Not much.
To be honest, no.
No.
Like I hear it and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, like it's fun kind of party music and that kind of thing. I can't really speak too much about them because I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I think enough about their work to really make a comment. But when
So
I
thought
heard
about
this,
you when I heard it.
when I heard this, I thought, wow, this is really beautiful. I definitely haven't heard this one.
They've got
Sounds really- his voice
they've got
sounds
so
good.
many albums,
Yeah.
like different sort of some more fast-paced, slow love
Yeah.
songs. But I was
Maybe I need
curious to
listen
hear
more.
what.
They're actually
You
very
thought of
diverse,
them.
and like I've kind of steered a little bit away from the commercial stuff.
Yeah,
But I mean, I
that's
always
what I
hear,
was
I always hear it.
thinking.
It's not like I don't dislike it. I just don't buy it.
Right.
But,
Yes.
but you hear it all the time in cafes and people play it, and it's great. It's great music. And then there's that other side to them, which they obviously do, which is probably less money driven. But it's really good because they do actually come from a sort of a flamenco thing, you know, maybe not in a real traditional sense.
I've
But
only really heard a lot of their more commercially successful stuff, which to me, I mean, is fun background music, nice rumbas. But I haven't heard a lot of the deeper stuff, to be honest.
yeah, the
Yeah.
deeper stuff's actually quite good, particularly when they do fandangos and bullerias.
Yeah.
You know, it is.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, and their guitarist is one of my favourite guitarists. Their main guy, Tonino, he's just.
It sounds like a kind of malagueña granaina,
Yeah,
which is a type of fandango.
yeah. I think I've got this album actually. I should just burn it
What
for you
is
because
this?
it's.
I mean, I know it's a fandango, but what type of fandango? There's like
Yeah, it does
80
say.
different kinds of fandango.
What
is
are they
it?
called? Yeah.
So if you want to say goodbye here before I turn it
Oh,
off.
sorry.
goodbye. Thank you so much. Oh, now we're talking
Well,
about.
that's what
Thank
we
you
think
so
about the
much.
Gypsy Kings. But
Bye.
Bye.
Julie, Maria, Mary, Bianca, Sky, George tuned in,
Oh,
Joseph,
thank
Frankie's
you.
darling,
Hey, Frankie.
Gabriela, Toro,
Thank you, Gabriela Toro.
Michelle,
Thanks, Frankie.
George, Claudia.
Thank you so much for listening.
Cheers.
Beautiful.
I can put